Hello and welcome to Eurotech on this kind of dark, gloomy, rainy day. In the shop today we have this lovely red 1994 Alfa Spider. This is the last year of production and it's a special edition. So let's go have a closer look at it. It's Italian and it's red. As we walk around the car, you can see it's Italian and it's red. Special badging for the final edition. Very pretty car it is. This is a very low mileage car. It's been in the same family since new, and that gentleman recently sold it to its new owner. The new owner rarely drives it as well. And coming around to the rear of the car, we can see one of the big changes they made in the body. They got rid of the black lip-type spoiler and just made a nice, gentle, a sharp cutoff for the rear end and a nice, gentle, very slight spoiler on the top of the trunk lid. It really does look very attractive. I think it looks much nicer than the original black spoiler. And of course we have a lovely Alfa badge. This is a manual top and it's just so nice and easy to lower it. We start by lowering the two sun visors on both sides, and then we find our latches, which are secured with this nice strap, which we're going to unsnap. So we unsnap the strap and we simply flip the lever down like that, go to the other side, repeat the process. Unsnap, flip the lever, and the top's ready to come back. So we can just take our hand in the middle and push it up. So now that we have the top unlatched, it's just a very simple matter to just lift it up and fold it back. We want to be a little bit careful of the back window, make sure it folds properly and doesn't get a crease in it. And down it goes. And now you're set for some open top convertible driving. And here in Greensboro today, even though it's January, it's 60 degrees outside. It would be a nice day to take your convertible out and drive it around. Since it's a convertible, of course, we want to see how it looks with the top down. Quite an improvement. Of course, this is the way you really want to use your car. For enjoyable top-down motoring. What a lovely little sports car the Italians make. You can have a quick look at the interior, which we'll go into in more detail later. And we're going to start our tour of the interior with the trunk, because you'll notice right inside the driver's door jamb, we have two levers to pull. The top one is a locking lever for the gas cap door. And the bottom one, also locking, will release the trunk. So we're going to go around looking in the trunk. Simply flip the lever up and open it. One of the reasons the car came to Eurotech today was because this trunk was very stiff and hard to open and close. So we adjusted the trunk. So as we look inside the trunk, again, this is a special edition car. It's equipped with a CD player, and it's a special Alfa Romeo badge CD player. I don't know if you can make out the image. Yeah, you can see it on the carpet in the back, the little Alfa symbol. Not a lot of room in the trunk, but you can certainly get several suitcases in here. We have the owner's manual and the paperwork for the car. So there's a book in here, and it comes with a tire pressure gauge. Wonderful thing to have. The owner's log and the dealer directory and the other owner's operating information. And also in the trunk here we have a beautiful gear shift knob. Now that we have the top down, we can get a much closer look at the interior on this car. A lot of this is specific to the special edition. A lot of it is because it's such a late model car. So let's just start with the doors here. And we'll notice this beautiful wood trim here, which is very nice. And this kind of suede door panel. This is all the special edition features. This is some tape she's put on here just to protect this stuff from her hands and whatnot. So coming around, we notice this big, thick side, it's a knee bolster is what it is. It's required by the NTSB for crash protection in your cars. And of course, we have an airbag. This may be one of the first Alfas with an airbag. And we have a nicely detailed instrument panel, which has a bunch of warning lights on it. And let me just see if I can turn the key on and light those warning lights up. So we can see pretty red lights there, and turn signal switch, which makes the turn signals blink. To turn that noisy ding-ding off. So immediately here on the left, we have the turn signal switch and the headlight switch, which twists to turn the lights on and bright and dim. And we have a reset for the trip odometer right here. The rest is pretty standard: tachometer, speedometer, gas and temperature, and oil pressure, and a battery health gauge. Moving over the middle, this car does have air conditioning, so we've got some nice, good air conditioning vents, and that beautiful shifter that leaps out of the center of the dashboard. Heater controls next to the shifter, and of course a branded Alfa Romeo radio, which we recently took to the radio shop and had made fully operational again. Below that we have some switches for the power windows up and down, and a hazard switch, a cigarette lighter, which we don't need anymore. More of that beautiful wood trim and leather, and these seats, beautiful leather seats, and the suede. Again, that's part of the special edition. We'll come down here and we can look at the glove compartment, which has, is that a pair of gloves in a glove compartment? How wonderful. It has a light. You can remove this light and you can take it around and look at things. You can go under your hood or look in the trunk. And again, special edition badge there for the final edition of the Alfa Spider. Passenger floor. and the driver's floor showing the required pedals, clutch, brake, and accelerator pedal. To open the hood on our little red Alfa, we open the door and look to the left of the driver's of the steering wheel, and then underneath the dash we'll find a black lever. We pull the black lever down and the rear of the hood pops up. The hood opens from the rear, right at the base of the windshield. You simply take your hand and lift, and we will notice there is a hood prop rod right here, which we unsnap and bring up to the appropriate hole in the side of the hood, and we can rest that. And of course, we have, this being a very late model car, we have plenty of warning labels, so we'll keep our fingers clear of things and telling us about the various emission standards and that sort of thing. More warning labels, and even more information, some of which might actually be useful. And then we can actually get a look at the engine itself. This is a magnificent engine, European engine. It's a double overhead cam, hemispherical combustion chamber, chain-driven camshaft, not one of those belts that break and ruin your engine. Nice, peppy, spunky engine, magnificent engine, one of the best, most significant engines to come out of Europe. So starting right on the driver's side, we have the reservoir for the power steering in a sports car. Clutch, hydraulic cylinder and reservoir, dual stage brake master cylinder and reservoir, air intake and mass air sensor for the fuel injection, and air flows through this pipe over to the intake manifold into the engine. We have right here heat shielding for the exhaust system. This is the oil dipstick right here. Very nice dipstick. And right there is where we would pour the engine oil. It does, of course, say engine oil. Windshield washer fluid reservoir. Electric fans to cool the radiator and to bring fresh air in over the air conditioning condenser. We have a single belt and an alternator belt as well, which is good and tight. And we'll walk around and look at the other side of the engine. So over here on the passenger side, starting at the firewall, we have the coolant overflow tank. This is a idle control speed motor. It'll step the idle up when the engine is cold and also when the air conditioner turns on. Throttle valve switch measures how far the throttle is opening and sends the appropriate signal to the electronic fuel injection computer. This is an electric injector right here. This is where the throttle hooks up. When you press the gas pedal, it pulls that lever right there and opens the throttle. We have a very well shielded distributor and distributor cap down here. You can see it's got a big thick rubber boot over it to keep it dry. The ignition coil. And of course, we're back to those warning labels and a nice little light to illuminate the underhood area. Let's look underneath the Alfa and see what we see. So we start with a good heavy-duty metal protect plate to keep us from scraping on parking bumps and whatnot. We have two tow hook boat tie downs. Take your choice. It's one or the other, or possibly both. The bottom of the windshield washer reservoir. Working our way towards the rear, the first thing we notice is a characteristic Alfa finned aluminum oil pan. Magnificent piece of mechanical art from our Italian friends. Disc brakes on the front. A real lower A-arm. See if we can get a little bit closer look at this suspension. So again, we have the disc brake, lower A-arm, coil spring, a nice big heavy-duty sway bar. And continuing our tour towards the rear, we see exhaust downpipes, 5-speed Alfa transmission, the transmission mount cross member. This is the catalytic converter, and this is the oxygen sensor that sends a signal up to the fuel injection computer to tell it what's going on in the catalytic converter. Continuing towards the rear of the car, we see a big, thick, heavy-duty drive shaft, a real genuine universal joint, a big muffler, another thinned aluminum cover for the rear axle, for the rear end differential. More suspension parts, a nice big coil spring here. Cable for the emergency brake. I'm going to turn around, I'm going to rotate 180 degrees, rotate myself and the camera and the viewer, and we're going to see part of the mechanism to work the emergency brake system. So when you pull up the handbrake, it manipulates those levers there and puts brake onto the rear. And we can see rear disc brakes. So this is a four-wheel disc brake car. Continuing our tour towards the rear, we see in black the rear muffler. The bottom of the spare tire well is right here, and the bottom of the gas tank is right here. We end up finally with a tailpipe in the rear of a red Alfa Romeo. One last little interesting feature of this Alfa that I want to point out to you is right here, if you can notice that little arrow right below my finger, this is the right front of the car, so that's the front tire arrow, and same arrow back here at the back. Those are your jacking points. That's where you put the jack to jack the car. That's also where you can put the arms of your lift if you need to lift it up in the air. Just a nice little feature.